Alan Boyter, thank you so much for coming to Tasty Humans. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
For the sake of everyone watching, just introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you doing?
My name's Alan Boyter. I've been out here since 2006. I've been racing motorbikes out here since 2007. So I've been part of the racing biking community all the way through my life and continue to be here right now.
Fantastic. Do you know, I won't lie, I researched you yesterday a little bit, and that's when I found out what I'm about to say. Where normally, I even said this to you about 2 minutes ago, actually, where I was thinking, we'll do the whole, how did you this and that, and what were you like when you were younger? And I was like, no. So you've built a bike.
Several
bikes, but you've built
but one in particular right now.
One in particular to break the land speed world record.
Correct.
Why?
Bit of a giggle. Why not?
What possessed you to have a go at this?
Going back, and we just discussed this as well, during the Dubai Film Festival, Dubai Motorcycle Film Festival, the very first one they had, which was 2002, late 2002, there was a documentary about a Swiss team who built a motorcycle with a Ducati engine, and they shipped it all the way over to Bonneville in Utah and broke the current land speed record in their class. And all the way through this, it was a great little documentary. It was in subtitle. It was obviously speaking their native language, but all the way through, I'm nudging my wife. She's like, what? It's like the engine they're using, I've got it lying on the garage floor, just doing nothing, spare. So the movie ended, and it was great, and we jumped in the car on the way home. I was like, yeah, what was it like to do something with that engine? So by the time it took from All Cause to our house in Jumeirah, the 4 or 5 kilometers it was, we'd already decided, yeah, let's give it a crack. What can go wrong?
So what can go wrong?
Lots.
So I think to educate some people, hopefully, Bonneville Flats in Utah. So this is where all of the world land speed record attempts take place.
Until very recent records, yes. They've been doing land speed records there officially since the 30s, unofficially longer.
And that is because?
It's a natural salt lake and has a vast plain of flat surface to ride on or drive on. So a lot of the time of the year it's covered in water, and then the summertime the water evaporates and it leaves this perfectly flat salt plain up to 15 miles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean the circuit, well the track that we were on when we did it last year, it was 8 miles long.
So last year when you did it, how fast did you get? So okay, sorry, what is the current record?
There's 2 classes.
Okay.
So when we built the bike, and if we go through the history of it, the idea came November 2022. We started cutting steel early 2023 with our design in mind, and we went and raced it in 2024 last year. The record we were aiming for was the FIM record, which is the global entity for governing licensing and racing motorcycles. And that record was 166 miles an hour. So that was our first record. We tried that. And I've said this before to various people, on a motorcycle in modern day age, 166 miles an hour is not that fast.
I was about to say, yeah.
But then if you strip out the fairings off and you have absolutely nothing keeping the wind off you, it's fast enough. So this class in particular is a naked class. There's no streamlining allowed at all.
Okay.
You're in the elements yourself. So suddenly 166, but even then I was thinking, I've been racing the Autodrome for years and years and do far faster than that lap by lap, So that was our first goal. Second goal was, can we break the 200 miles an hour mark? Because that's a bigger record.
Yeah.
That's a more fun record.
And that's naked as well.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, as you're referring to, as naked.
Yes.
Okay.
As it happens, we missed the FIM event due to shipping issues. Our container was delayed in various places of the world, so we didn't actually manage to enter the FIM event. to claim that record. We ended up doing the World of Speed event, which is governed by a different entity, so the class is slightly different. FIM differentiate between 2 cylinders and 4 cylinders on a motorcycle. Ducati engines, 2 cylinders. The SETA records, the governing body for that, it's just 1,000 cc. You can have 1 or 4 or 8 cylinders, doesn't matter. So you could use, which we were discussing before, something like a Suzuki G6R 1,000 cc engine. It's a lot more reliable power, easier power to get than an old Ducati engine. So the record for the SETA is a lot higher. It's 193. We did 182.5. So we bettered the FIM record. We didn't claim it because we weren't at an FIM event, but we did better it. So that was one big tick in the box, and that was our first goal. And we bettered it by a good margin, a healthy margin. We had a top speed of 188. And so kind of close to the 193 record. Yeah. But we had issues, we had problems, and we had to do licensing runs as well, so we had to build up to that speed. We couldn't just do that out of the box. So when we go back this year, we'll be far better equipped to have a good crack at the record.
And are you the only team there, or is there multiple teams having a go at it? How many are there?
The event we were at was cars and bikes.
Okay.
The FIM event is bikes only, hence the one we were aiming for. The one we ended up with was as a mixture of cars and bikes. I mean, bikes that maybe 15, 20, something like that. It wasn't too many. It was mostly cars. I think there was over 100 competitors there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And were you the fastest bike?
No, actually, no. No, there was a Suzuki Hayabusa full fairing turbo. I think it did 220 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah. The fastest naked bike.
Yeah. Okay.
By far.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you're going on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So describe what this bike looks like. Because I got shown a picture of it when
doesn't look like a bike, does it?
When the wonderful person I worked with on this suggested you as a guest, they showed me you on this bike, and I didn't really understand what I was looking at. I thought that were like into chops. Do you know what I mean? So you've just gone and chopped up some crazy bike that you ride around on for fun, and then when I looked at it yesterday, I was like, oh, okay.
So the design, okay, in a nutshell, the bike is 3.6 meters long. You're at the front wheel. I lie on the bike in a Superman style, and then my legs go either side of the engine behind me, and then you have the swing arm and the back wheel behind that. So it's a very long, almost car length motorcycle, but it only sits that off the ground. So the reason being, when you look at the naked class, what's going to be the most efficient? And I took cues from the Swiss team that they did a bike with. And their bike looked like a conventional motorcycle, stretched out a bit, but you've got a set of forks, you've got a wheel, you've got bars, tank, seat, as you would recognize a motorcycle. But when you've got all this wind resistance coming at you, you want the smallest frontal area as you can. So the design, and I can't claim the design. I looked at various other designs and figured this one to be the best. So it's stolen from various places over the years. You have the front wheel. If I can get behind the front wheel, I'm now sitting behind it. If I can get the engine behind me, then you've got this very, very small frontal area, so nothing else is sticking out. It's the most efficient for the class. But it just means it's very long because you're not going height-wise or width-wise.
What does it feel like?
Terrifying.
I can imagine. In that sort of what someone like me doesn't ride, it's something I'd expect, that you're just laying down in this Superman position, and even the wind resistance, because I've been on the back of bikes, and I remember the first time I went on the back of a bike, I was sitting on a pinion, and I was holding on behind me, and I remember that I was so upright. I was trying to push forward. My arms didn't have the strength. Yeah. I think we got to about 120 miles an hour, and I'm hitting him with my knees, just like, mate, do you know what I mean? I can't get anywhere near this. And then the next time I went on a bike, I had my arms around the driver on the tank, and that was way better. Yeah. And I think that even that wind resistance...
Because even the wind, because you're going from the rider to the pillion, you're now would have been closing that gap.
And so for you on this thing is like, the noise must be incredible.
I've spent a lot of time on fast bikes over the years. I'm no expert, don't get me wrong. Experienced, very experienced, but by far from an expert. But I have had a lot of time on bikes, fast bikes. Up to like 150, even up to 160, it's fine. Mm-hmm. It is actually quite, once you get it off the line, getting it off the line is difficult.
Why?
When you're riding a conventional bike and you've got your feet on the ground, you've got the control of it. You know, you've got the leverage on the bars to move the bike around, and you've got the strength in your legs to keep it from underneath you. So when you leave, you just release the clutch, and once the bike gets momentum, you can just put your feet up, right? It's very easy to do. With this one, where you are versus where the top of the engine is, there's a lot of top heavy weight. And because your legs are behind you and your tiptoes are on the ground, you don't have a lot of leverage. So when until the bike's at a almost fast running pace, it just wants to fall over. It does not want to stay in a straight line. Once you get beyond that, then it's happy. And as I said, it's
happy.
Yeah,
then it's happy.
we had a camera on basically here as I'm riding. And the very first successful run we did, and we kind of closed down and gave a thumbs up to the camera. And the guy who was doing our videography seen this. What speed were you doing when you did that? Didn't look at. I've got a little GPS speedo, but it's way down there. I'm not really looking at speed. So the following run, I looked. We finished the run. I slowed down, put my thumb up, and made a point in looking at the speedo. 155 miles an hour, but it's stable. The bike's happy. It's quite content at that speed. Beyond that speed, however, the wind resistance seems to tenfold higher. The wind pressure is phenomenal. And it's not something I've really experienced before, and I'll be honest, it's not something I really took into consideration.
Yeah, because you've not done it, so it just hits you.
Yeah, and it's not just in your head; it's in your shoulders and your arms because of the position you're in. It's phenomenal actually. And I'm surprised I didn't think about it through before.
Maybe if you did, you never would have gone through with it.
Perhaps, yeah.
But when you were built, so when no, actually, I do want to ask. So you get up to this speed, and so when do you know when? So I'll have to ask. It's a sort of silly question. Is it like a finish line?
Okay.
So
the way it works out, you have a short course and a long course, and you have to start in the short course until you're proficient enough and you prove that the vehicle you're in is fast enough to go in the long course. It's the same course. So the short course is you have a 2-mile run up of acceleration.
Okay.
And then you have a measured point between mile 2 and mile 3.
Okay.
And your speed is taken from the average of that speed. So it's not a top speed, it's an average through the mile. If you qualify for a record, you then have to do it again in the other direction to show, then you get an average of both, and that is your world record speed. The long course, however, you measure between the 2 and the 3, then the 3 and the 4, then the 4 and the 5.
How long does it take you to get to 150 miles an hour then? For the bike to actually feel
slow,
okay?
Really slow, because traction is the biggest problem. There's 2 issues on that we found. One being traction, second one being vision.
Okay.
Because not only is it wheel spinning at 180 miles an hour, you can't see.
Of course. What the... I can't go... Yeah, no.
We're fixing that for this year. But the amount of salt spray that you get, because at the end of it's a loose surface. It's not tarmac.
Yeah. This is why I asked you to sort of describe it.
And the traction changes from morning to the afternoon, depends on how much moisture is in the air. Because underneath the salt is all water. So it can suck up moisture from underneath so that the top surface can get really loose. It's the most bizarre place on the planet, it really is. You put your hand on it and it feels really rough. But if you just put your hand over it gently, it's really loose.
And so was the sight thing something you weren't prepared for? Like you sort of get up to that speed and suddenly the dust, you can't see shit, and you're now thinking, what the hell?
And that was partially our fault for design. We designed the mudguard not thinking it through. We designed a couple of things not thinking it through. Never been there before.
Yeah.
So you're looking at as much as you can, and surprisingly enough, there's actually not a lot of stuff on YouTube about it. There is, but not as much as you would think when you're
going to build one, you know.
But nothing, zero. So a lot of it's, and you've never been there before. I've never seen it, never witnessed it. So it's not as if I've got people to rely on and look at. We did go in 2023 to try and just see the event and see what it looked like, and it was rained off. The whole place was flooded.
Jesus.
So we got there and we knew the event was cancelled at that point. So I met nobody, learned nothing other than it's
just one long flight, you know what I mean,
yeah.
with a lot of kit.
Well, it's 4 days of driving to get there, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the traction's a massive issue. So to get back to your question about how fast does it get up there, to qualify for the long course, you have to go through the 2.25 mark doing 175 miles an hour. We managed that in the last run, just. And it's not because the bike's not fast enough. It's just trying to get the traction down. Because if you're on tarmac, it's great. You crack the throttle and you go. But on this, if you do that, you just wheel spin. So every time you break traction, you've got to back it off and just feather the throttle. I mean, it's that tiny, tiny movements between drive forward or wheel spin, all the way up to top speed.
That's some serious power.
Power, yes.
Yeah.
And traction and this and that. And then trying to see the flags at every quarter mile with your visor completely covered in salt and wind buffeting and your eyeballs bouncing around the socket. And it's highly entertaining.
Based on what you've said, to get from 0 to 150 miles an hour is a struggle because the bike itself, like you said, is almost wanting to fall over. But as you increase the speed...
To be fair, it only wants to fall over once you get past 10 or 15, it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Because I wanted to ask, what is it like to slow down? So you're coming from what it's built for, which is flying. Yeah. But then to actually reduce, then it's getting more and more weighty. It's
not bad. It's not. It's more of a relief than anything.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Thank God that's over. Yeah, it's not as bad as you think. It's because at that point you're back in control again. You know, the bike's slowing down. You can feel what it's doing underneath you. It's a lot more of a controlled environment than it is accelerating, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you go back this year, are you confident that you've got this?
Yeah, I am actually.
Oh, good.
Touch wood with failures and problems, and we had failures there. Don't get me wrong, we had lots of failures. We did 7 runs in total. 3 were missed runs.
Have you ever come off it?
Bonneville?
No.
No. I dare say that would be a bad day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That wouldn't be much fun.
So I think the next question, which I think is the one I think anyone that watching is wanting me to ask, is have you always been crazy?
Not always.
Where did this come from?
Years and years of talent to get this crazy.
Was it? There was a turning point of the crazy. But where did it start then with bikes?
BMXs, I guess.
Okay.
You know, starting BMXs, mountain bikes, all that kind of stuff.
Which were hugely popular when we were kids, because we're the same age.
Yeah.
So we're born in '76, came up through the '80s. So that was when BMXing, riding bikes, going out.
Burners.
You know what I mean? I had a rally burner. Yeah, it was yellow and red.
I always wanted a rally burner, never had one.
No.
Yeah.
And that was when riding bikes and going out and creating jumps and you know falling over and scratching yourself to all hell.
That's right.
Was the norm. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you just went on from there.
Yeah. I went to be honest, I'd got into cars first, mostly because my mother told me if I ever got a bike, she'd kick me out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, as most mothers do. And it was money. You know, it's car was first because it was easier. And I'm from Aberdeen, so it's not the best weather for bikes all year round.
At all.
No. Yeah, I think summer was a Wednesday last year.
And you're not joking either.
No.
Scotland is, notoriously tough.
Yeah.
Because England's bad enough.
Yeah.
You know.
So, you know, getting a license at 17, it was cars. And I'd been working offshore for a little while in my early 20s and kind of got enough free cash to go, you know what, let's get into bikes again. That was always my passion. But back in the UK, it was always just a bit of fun. I had an off-road bike as well, just again for a bit of fun. Go for tours, bike tours, you know, Sunday rides, all that kind of stuff. It never really progressed any more serious than that until I moved here.
What was your first bike?
Proper bike?
Yeah. Well, anything that wasn't a rally burner.
Yamaha TZR 125.
Okay.
Closely followed by an LC 350. Closely followed by a J6R 750.
Okay.
Yeah, we went big real quick.
Yeah, you went up very quickly.
Yeah.
What was it like to transition from, because I think this is one thing a lot of bike enthusiasts don't understand, what it's like to get from that kind of 125, 250. I think it's when you push over 600 cc's that things change quite dramatically in the bike. Is that right, or am I off?
It did back then, because bikes, they're not as refined as they are now. I teach a training school almost once a month at the moment at the Autodrome. So I get a lot of new bikers coming through who are interested in bikes and tracks, and everybody's got a big bike. It's just a done thing. There's a lot of disposable income out here as well, I guess that helps. But back then, you know, 125 and the build quality of a 125 was very different to the likes of a 750, where the gaps kind of narrowed somewhat over the years because everything's got better, really. But a 750 from the 90s is a very different bike to a 750 today.
In what way? Because my friends, one of my friends had GSXR 600, one friend had a ZZR 1100, another guy had a CBR 900, Fireblade, which I was super jealous of. It was the orange and silver one, where I actually Googled that a few months ago to look at it again.
Urban Tiger.
And still, I was like,
oh, they're good bikes, yeah. 16-inch front wheel, though, wants to kill you all the time.
But in what way? So how bikes change, you know?
And you look at bikes then, bikes now. I mean, I've got a 1985 RD 500, which I had on the track a couple of months ago for one of the Iconic Breeds track day. Back in the day, that was the bomb, the bike. That was the daddy of all motorcycles. But now it's just terrible. Nostalgia, yes, but you know, it's heavy, it doesn't handle very well, it doesn't go around corners very well, the tires are skinny. Just things have moved on over the years. All bikes now, there's not a bad bike out there. There really isn't.
What's the best one?
Difficult to say. I get a question asked a lot, especially at schools. You know, it's what should I get? So, whatever suits you, but I wouldn't go and buy something big, especially if you're going to ride it on the road. You don't need it. You really don't need it. I mean, I ride the guy who runs the school. He's got a couple of BMW 1000RRs, and they're an immense bike. They're 200 horsepower standard. Yet all the electronics, anybody can jump on it and ride it fast, because it will save you. They do their job.
It will save you. Yeah. How will it save you?
It's got ABS, anti-wheelie, anti-dive, engine braking, traction control, stability control. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the criteria or statistics of the track and accidents on like one of the fast BMWs versus the smaller ones, they're a far safer bike, just because there's got so much electronics on them now, which is a good thing. In all honesty, I'm old school, not for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have that kind of? No,
generally switch.
You know,
most of it off.
I need something a bit wilder.
Yeah, and when I do that, I expect it to do exactly that. I don't expect me to do that and the ECU to go, well, you've asked for 100%. I'm only going to give you 65.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, cars are the same way, right? It's all a bit nanny state, and there's a lot of stuff you can't even turn off now.
Oh, really? See, I don't ride. The last time I ever spoke to anyone about motorbikes, like I said, it must have been 20 odd years ago.
I'm talking about cars as well. I mean, how much stuff there is in cars now that, you know, the blind spot or your anti-collision warning and all that kind of stuff. You can't turn any of that stuff off in a car now.
No, I've got a 2023 Dodge Charger, And for an American muscle car, it has a lot of safety features, you know, which are quite handy because I sort of daydream a bit when I'm driving. So I'd need something that says, hey, you're veering off a bit. Do you know what I mean? But
you should have the option to turn it off.
I do have the option to turn them off, yeah.
But do they all turn off? Or do they just
when I
say
turn
they're off?
when I turn off traction control, it's definitely scarier. You know what I mean? And lane assist and everything. Like I was just quite what's the word? I was quite shocked that it was there in the first place.
Yeah.
You think you're buying a like Dodge Charger. You think you're buying quite a crazy rocket ship type car.
It's the nanny state of the world, right? Bikes and cars, they're no different to each other now. You know, it's all these safety devices that they're standard. They're all there. It's just because the average punter wants it.
Well, I think that with bikes, you know, the obvious where having an accident on one is you're at a lot more risk.
Yeah.
You know, but then. I suppose, what is the safest way to ride one? Like, what's...
Don't ride it on the road.
Fair enough. Because
I don't ride on the road.
My biggest fear is because I always wanted a bike, right? And my fear is not me. My fear is everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, and I think anyone I know that has bikes, you always think, yeah, okay, you're safe. But especially here in Dubai. I mean, I describe driving here as a real-life video game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is crazy to be on Shakeside Road, 7 lanes in each direction, and the amount of people that are not paying attention is quite something. But
I've had 2, 3, maybe 4 road legal bikes here over the years. I just never used them. I've got no... Riding on the road just does nothing for me.
So you're track only here?
Used to be desert a lot as well. Used to be.
What would you do in the desert?
I used to race a lot in the desert. In fact, the team still races a lot in the desert.
Okay.
We did Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge 4 times, the International Baja 6 times, all the local Emirates Desert Championships.
And that consists of, forgive my ignorance, I have no idea. Well, is that a bit like of a Paris-Dakar type thing? It's all
the
dunes
Desert Challenge is actually the same roadbook.
Okay.
It's a 5-day event.
And what's the distance?
Same bikes.
Do you do it in the summer?
No, it's actually on. It's on the end.
It's
on the end of this month.
Okay.
It's on the end of this month. What is the DC? 6,000. Say, 5,000, 6,000 kilometers, something like that.
Wow.
I don't know what the routes are these days. Yeah, but that's including because you'll have a road liaison to get to the stage. So you might have to do 140 kilometers in the road in the morning, and then do a 300, 400 mile an hour kilometer race through the desert, and then maybe 100 kilometers back to the camp again.
That sounds tough.
No, it is tough.
So your racing team is Vendetta
Racing. Yeah.
And when did that start?
Started here in 2007.
And that was you?
That was me, yeah.
Yeah.
I started when I was racing a J6R 600, the Autodrome. It was the first full season of national racing. First full season of national racing. Or was it the second? It's a long time ago. When dinosaurs roamed.
And when our memories were good.
Yes, exactly.
There's some added laughter to that. Something that happened this morning, which I can't go into. But yeah, it proved to me that my memory is shot. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, I started then. I needed a team name, so that's where the team name came from. And then it just grew arms and legs from there.
Who did you have a vendetta against?
Oh, we won't go into that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Was it okay? You can't actually name names or say.
No.
But was there a proper vendetta? Like you're right.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't say that word either. But you.
The name came from. It was there for a reason at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Good.
Yeah. No,
but you know what? Because the thing here is, I've met a lot. I've met bikers. I've met car enthusiasts. I mean, I was at the Grand Picnic yesterday, which is where I got my big pink head that people can probably see. But I actually had a guy on here from Car Culture. Episode 1, funnily enough. And I did talk to him about what you would refer to as beef. Do you know what I mean? Is there actual beef, you know, or is it a little bit, as referred to in the UK, like handbags? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, no, that there is sort of some back and forth sometimes. But so, what's it like in the bike community? It's
pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough to race quite a lot of different disciplines over the year. So, we started circuit racing here. I did some endurance circuit racing in the UK. As a team, we did Isle of Man twice.
We're going to come back to that.
Okay. We've done...
Yeah, we're definitely coming back to that.
Desert Challenge 11 times now. I think it's the 12th year now, which are major international events. The guys have done the World Championship event for that. We've done Dakar 3 times as a team. So all these different... And obviously now land speed racing.
Yeah.
So all these different disciplines, the mentality of the bikers are very similar. There's obviously rivalry, of course. And to race against people, especially the circuit where it's close quarter racing, close quarter racing, you have to have a certain amount of rivalry to make the difference, right?
Yeah, it's a race, yeah.
I remember, I think it was a 3rd season, and I was racing against a very good friend of mine, and we were battling for 3rd in the championship. And for the latter part of the season, we just stopped talking to each other.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, it's just, I need to beat you. And it was terrible because we're close friends, but just no.
Who won?
You know what? I can't even remember.
Yeah, you can. You just don't want to, you can. You just don't want to say it. Okay, fair enough.
But it was, for both
Are you
of us,
friends now? Like when it finished, did one congratulate the other? And
it was just a relief. It was like, that was terrible.
We'll go and have dinner or something like that.
Go for a beer, yeah.
Yeah.
Still friends to this day, yeah. But you have to have that certain amount of rivalry there. But the difference between bikers and cars, I found that bikers understand when it goes wrong in a big way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the risks are far greater.
Imagine, yeah.
So there's always that mutual respect.
Yeah, because when you watch things like F1 and IndyCar and stuff like that, these cars are designed to turn over, and they're built into a cage that has a lot of protection, especially in F1 with the halo and stuff like this now. But with bikes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens, what you do to it. Like, is it when you're saying about how road bikes have anti-this and that and everything else? If you still come off...
Yeah, the minute you part company, it's still going to be painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it right when you're actually track racing that if you sort of... When you come off, you see... When you watch it on TV and they do come off, unless they go over the handlebars, mostly it's sliding.
Yeah.
And then they kind of slide along and then roll over a few times in the gravel, and they're basically okay. Like, is that the premise, or?
Yeah, like for MotoGP, that you see that a lot with. They're athletes.
Yeah.
They're very, very fit people. But yeah, I've slid down the tarmac at 185 kilometers an hour. I've actually got that helmet framed because I got up. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with me.
So it's not that the leathers don't.
Leathers were kind of wrecked, and the helmet was definitely wrecked, and I had a small friction burn in my elbow. But that was it. It's fine. The kit saved me.
Yeah.
Because it was just sliding. Go over that way, then you start bouncing, and that's when you break bones.
Have you gone over that way?
Oh yeah.
How many bones have you broken? Don't worry, we're coming back to the Isle of Man.
I never did the Isle of Man.
Never did.
I never raced it.
Damn,
the team was there. I was a crew chief.
Because that is just, I saw something on Instagram the other day about the Isle of Man where it popped up, POV view and stuff like this. So they showed, I think they were entitling it, the Isle of Man is the craziest race ever. And when you watch, 100%, you watch F1 and they'll have a crash and they have to change everything. They took chicanes out and everything. And sometimes I think to myself, Isle of Man, how is that even still allowed?
I know.
Because it's brilliant, but it's
when you're there, it's very real.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We went there first time in 2010 because my mate Steve wanted to go race it. And we were very drunk in a bar one night. I can't remember whose birthday it was. It was an old bar downtown, Satwa. So old school bar. We were all very drunk, and he asked me, he was like, "We need to do Isle of Man." I was like, "I'm not doing Isle of Man. I'm drunk, but I'm not that drunk. I want to do it." And I drunkenly said, "It's like, well, if you do it, I'll crew for you." Thinking, this is never going to come up again, right? 3 weeks on. Remember what you said at that night? I was like, "Yeah, I did promise that." I was serious. Okay, And then we're doing it then. So I cruise ship from 2010, 2012. And the first year we went under the umbrella of a different team who were there, and we rented a bike from them and kind of learnt the ropes. And the highs are very, very high and the lows are extremely low.
The lows being the...
Like the guy in the pits next to you, his wife and kids is there, and he's not.
Oh, wow.
Practice week. Yeah. And you had a beer with him the night before.
Oh, okay.
And, because when you set up your pits out of the mat, it's the same with any of these big events. You're there for a while. Once you're there, you're there. You start seeing your neighbours and, can I borrow a grinder or borrow this?
Yeah, it's a community thing,
exactly. So you kind of get to know each other, right? But yeah, he just didn't come back one at practice week. It wasn't even his fault. Another crash happened in front of him, and he just collected the bike. And then
it's super wild stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's. I mean, I'm sure everyone, people watching, is going to know what it is, but it's obviously a massive street race, and there's not a lot of protection. It's just go then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it does have. Was it? I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. There was the father and son, I think, that were riding a bike and a sidecar.
Yeah,
something
two separate
like that.
Incidents.
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that as well. I can't remember the details though.
But you've never thought, I've got to tick that off the list.
Oh, I mean, the first year it was every day. It was I can do this, no, I can't do this. I can do this, I can't do this, and mental battles with yourself daily. Until it was over and realised that, it's just...
Did you go round it, at your pace? So you've done the circuit.
I mean, I'd been there before.
Yeah.
We went over on a biking holiday and done the course on the bike. And when we left the digs every morning, we'd do it in a car every single day. Do a lap every single day just to see what's changed and if there's new markers out there and, if there's diesel spills or whatever. But yeah, what they don't show in any of these YouTube videos and documentaries, the realism and the pressure that everybody's under to get it right, because the risks are
it's immense.
epic. Yeah, and I mean, as I said, and you lose people who you've met who you were talking to the day before, and you're numb that night, going, that really happened.
Yeah,
and then the next day you've just got to park it, just take it out your head. I'm going to deal with that later. Put it in the box. Forget about it. You've got a job to do. We'll figure all that out later on. And that's, well, to be fair, it's not Isle of Man, it's just bike racing in general. The dangers are very, very real.
Yeah, so you thought, I'm not doing Isle of Man, I'll just try to break the naked land speed record instead at a 200 mile an hour without any type of wind resistance.
Yeah, there's not dry stone dikes and trees to hit, though.
So now in Dubai, so what is it you're sort of focusing on now? Obviously, you've got the world record attempt coming up this year, but sort of what's your day-to-day like?
I'm own a small company, me and my friend. We own a project management company, consultancy for marine, oil and gas, offshore construction. So yeah, it's engineering aspects, engineering standpoints. So building bikes versus what I do in my day job does have a lot of crossover. It's just everything in my day job's bigger.
What engineer did you train as, originally?
I was actually offshore with Schlumberger for years and years.
Okay.
Schlumberger, Weatherford, and then GE of all places. It was here when I came here with GE.
Okay, and that was
2006.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been working out here since 2003, but spent so much time in the region, it just made sense to live here for an 18-month contract in 2006.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people on that. I came here for a year and they're here
Still
15,
here.
20 years later.
Yeah, same story.
And you're very well affiliated with Autodrome then?
Yeah. Well, as I said, both circuits. Yas sponsored us for the record attempt last year. They gave us a shot at their drag strip for the evening to test the bike, which was very good of them. Because being a 3.6 meter long bike that's not very good at corners, there's not a lot of places to test it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but no, it's primarily racing. I got my instructor license in 2012, I think. 2011, 2012, I got my instructor license. So initially to do race license assessments, so if you want to go racing, you have to have a license. So I was one of the instructors to assess people to do licenses. Still am. And then from there, it went from schools and working with the race championship with Furiosa Racing, being the championship coordinator, just because of experience more than anything else.
What's it like teaching people?
Great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm very much in the camp, the older I am, the faster I was. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. I quite like that.
So teaching's the next best thing, I gave up racing around the Autodrome, and I think my last race was 2016, maybe one in 2017.
Okay.
Well, because I did a lot of off-road stuff.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of off-road racing instead, and you can't do both. And yeah, it kind of ran its course, you can only do it for so long. But teaching, coaching, so you're still very much involved. You're just from a slightly different angle.
And how successful were you in racing? I don't know, we haven't sort of touched upon this. Were you good or better, average?
I did okay.
Or,
I never won a championship. I was second twice. Never won a championship. Won plenty of races though, yeah. Held my own. I never set the world. Yeah. I never set the world on fire. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a hobby, right? It's even when I started in my 30s, so I was under no illusion that it was going to be the greatest and best. It was just a bit of fun. Yeah, I did okay. I did all right.
Okay, cool. Well, look, I've had a brilliant conversation with you. We hadn't met before. I'm very much, I'd say I was a massive bike enthusiast, and I kind of dropped out of it, and it's something now sort of going into the later half of the life that, come on, living in Dubai, it's a place to have a motorbike,
Is it though?
What is it not?
From somebody who doesn't ride on the road,
no. But so I mean, okay, Sheikh Zayed Road is one thing, but Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, the mountain runs,
I can see
5 o'clock in the morning, the sun's coming up and all that jazz. Yeah. Is that not?
It doesn't hammer me at all. It's not for me. It doesn't tick any of my boxes. But I can see where the attraction is for some cruiser touring style of bike. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not knocking it. It's just not my cup of tea. But then I spent years and years running around a racetrack, so
yeah,
but then I did. It was a few years ago now. We did a tour of the Himalayas for 2 weeks. That was fun.
Yeah,
that kind of
sounds
cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
What was that? What's that up in the right up in the mountain tops?
Yeah, leaving from Manali in India.
Well, that was
just
cold.
a 2-week trip all the way around. It was great. It was great.
It was cold on a motorbike.
Snow at the top. Yeah. Through rivers and through mud, and it was a good experience.
So apart from trying to break the world record, are you got trips lined up? Like, is there sort of other things you'd like to achieve with the bikes? Like, what do you think is going to happen when you do actually break this record and that box is ticked?
I've got another project already in hand. I've always got a project.
Do you wish to share that, or is that a secret?
I mean, if you go through my bike history, one thing that happened through all this racing was starting to build bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, building race bikes, converting bikes to go racing was one thing. Then it was building bikes to go desert racing. And then it was, let's have a crack at building a cafe rider, building a classic bike, building something randomly different. And that's where the whole Ducati thing came from. And I've had far too many Ducati projects, to be honest. So I've been doing a lot of bike building over the years. And with every bike, you learn a new skill. I have a lathe in my little workshop, and the lathe was because I needed to build lay shafts for a supercharged Ducati project I was building. So I'll get a lathe and learn that. I got a TIG welding plant because I wanted to make an exhaust for a different project. I'll learn that skill. So every build project has gained a skill, which kind of builds you up to the land speed bike and gives me the ability to build something like that. It's not just I want to build it. It's that skill set has been acquired over various projects for a lot of years. But it is a proper garage build, which when it's a world land speed record bike, which will hopefully get the world record. Yeah, but it was built in a garage.
Well, look, I mean, what can I say? Look, I've had a great conversation. This has been awesome, and it's been great to meet you. And honestly, I mean, I always ask everybody, sort of when wrapping up, it's like, if you have one thing you'd like to say to bike enthusiasts or anyone that's inspired you, or how you could inspire younger people that want to get into bikes, what would that be?
Just do it. Just if you want to get into bikes, do it. But do it in the correct way. Don't go out and just get the biggest, baddest bike out there, and think about why you want to go biking, because there's so much variation now. You know, you've got cruisers, you've got tourers, you've got, you know, crossovers and more desert stuff, race bikes. You know, decide why you want to get a bike, and then get a bike for that purpose. But yeah, just go out and do it.
Just go out and do it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Alan Boyter, thank you so much. I wish you all the best, and you know what, let's stay in touch, and I want to know that when you actually break that world record, and then it can be celebrated on here.
September,
you can come back
year.
and tell us what it was like.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Cheers.